Lethal just unveiled its brand new hip-hop expansion, so let's take a look. I like to start my hip-hop tracks with a break, just because I feel it has a lot of organic groove to it from a live drummer, so this is the break I chose. It doesn't sound fantastic, but that's all right. We're going to layer it underneath my track. So I right-clicked, and I converted those to a new MIDI track, that drums to a new MIDI track that we see here. And this is the MIDI information. I tightened it up a little bit. We're getting to Lethal. I then dropped instances of Lethal into the cells that were being played by the kick, the clap, the snare, open and closed hi-hat. So under the kick, let's just open up this instance of Lethal, and we see that I have the hip-hop expansion loaded. And under category, I chose percussion, and this is where you can find the kicks, the hi-hats, the snares, etc. So all I did was drop a new instance in each of those. Now, each of these is going to each of the sounds are going to live on a different note on your keyboard. So to toggle through those, I just grabbed this pitch MIDI device, and I have them mapped. I have this knob mapped over here. So as I press play, I can cycle through different kicks, and we can hear that a little easier if we just listen to Lethal. So I kind of like that one. So different claps, different snares, different hi-hats. So you can kind of get a feel. They sound all right. I'm not disappointed with them. Let's get the one I had back. I'm going to tuck the original sample underneath. So from there, the next defining feature of a hip-hop expansion for me, especially in terms of a synth, is, of course, the bass. And I was surprised to find a sub that I like a lot. The only problem being, if you use this on its own, this sub on its own, it may be too low for some speakers to play, so some people literally won't hear unless they have a proper sub and proper headphones. So anyway, here is that. If you're hearing nothing, you now know why. It sounds fantastic. Let's solo it out. And I'll get rid of the glue compressor. Very smooth, has a nice little punch at the beginning. I can accentuate that, of course, by adding a little bit of attack and decay to the, there we go, to the pitch. We'll explain that in future videos, what I did there, but it adds a little bit of an umph right at the first of the hit there. So because this was so low, I wanted to take this MIDI and send it to a new device. And that's this instance of Lethal here. That is going to play the same thing, but an octave higher. And let's go through a few different basses, kind of see what they sound like. Kind of like that one. We'll probably come back to that. And I'm just layering the two together. And again, this is so if you're listening in your car and you have crappy speakers, you'll actually be able to hear the bass line. All right, let's come back to this one. And we'll turn it down a little bit. So there we have a nice progression going. And of course, Lethal is more famous for its synthesized sounds. So this is, of course, under the bells, I have a pluck. Let's listen to a few other plucks, etc. So they kind of sound a little too happy for what I'm trying to pull off in this track. That one could be all right. And then from here, I wanted to add some reverb. And turn the volume down. So I think probably the one feature of this, kind of in conclusion, that I didn't expect to be happy with were the drum sounds. Generally speaking, a hip-hop sample pack to me, I'm usually disappointed, and these are actually pretty useful, especially in tandem with this sub. Your kick doesn't have to have a whole lot of low end, since you're going to be adding that yourself. Let's turn my compressor back on. There we go. Turn my sample back on. So there you go. Nothing extraordinarily magical in the way of hip-hop, but you get a feel for some of the sounds and the fact that there are drums and they do sound all right, and that they've got some great subs if you like that dirty south or you're looking for something a little different in your trap kits. So all in all, I think it's a pretty good update. If you've already bought Lethal, it's free to you, so go pick it up. This is Torsen. Please remember to like and subscribe.